What's up, everybody? So it turns out the PETA letter floating around the internet to Games Workshop in regards to fur on artwork of things like Lehman Russ, Horus, Lupercal, Chaos Warriors, Sisters of Silence, and so forth. It just so happens that it seems to be a legitimate letter. When I first saw that early in the morning before work, I thought it was a joke, a prank, something that somebody photoshopped together or made up for the funnies, right? I thought it was a joke. I read through it and I thought, the joke got a little dark when it described a little bit of the fur trade industry in there, but nevertheless, I thought it was something that wasn't serious, not a legitimate thing. But the day went on, and it seems like this is a legitimate letter from PETA to Games Workshop. And why? Why? Why now would PETA tackle the concept of attacking or subtly, politely attacking, politely asking Games Workshop to discontinue fur on their models, fur pelts on their models and in their artwork for their heroes and whatnot? It's like apples and hand grenades. They don't go together. I would never think PETA, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, would contact Games Workshop, a company that makes miniature wargaming. It has nothing to do with animals. Um, it's funny, it's sad, it's insane to really think that this could be a legitimate letter that happened, and I'm hoping it peters out to nothingness because the only thing GW can do is ignore it until it goes away. Honestly, if they even try to make a rebuttal, they'll just come across as the bad guys because how can they defend fur trade even though that's not what they would be doing? That's how it would come across to the those that are very much out there, the radicals, if you will. So I don't I don't know exactly the motive behind it, and I don't particularly care either because I find it nonsensical. The tactic behind this is shaming a little bit via the description of what happens in the fur trade, coupled with the notion that people who play this game will want to wear fur because of the fur displayed, and maybe get into the fur trade industry because of this. It's kind of along the same lines as back in the late 90s, early 2000s when video gaming was really exploding in popularity. The idea of video game violence in a correlation to real violence and how that was ultimately kind of proved null and void, on the level that they were talking about. Um, it's that same type of mentality and logic that they're using here with fur. What makes it idiotic, for lack of a better term, is they talk about the real horrors of the fur trade industry with these, the way these animals are abused and neglected and ultimately killed. A bit of a downer, I know, but my point is they go into the legitimate cruelty of what happens here. That while talking about a fiction universe and acknowledging the fiction of the universe that they are talking about, wanting the fur to be away. And they constantly bring up fur. Foxes, minks, rabbits, the idea behind wolves and all that. They bring up fur. They don't bring up lizard, reptilian pelts, things like the Drake scale stuff that Salamander chapter has. They don't bring up, which you could also see on Lizardmen and in Warhammer Fantasy or Age of Sigmar. They don't bring up feathers, which you see on Lizardmen in Age of Sigmar, or you did, and on the skink stuff there, and Deathwing have feathers on their weaponry and adorning their armor here and there to a minor degree, but I don't think they gently pluck those feathers off of a living bird. The bird probably was killed and they took the feathers, but they don't bring that up. And oh yeah, they don't bring up the flayed skin of your enemies adorning your armor as a trophy and their skull. And typically it's human flayed skin, but it could be orcs or it could be Eldar or what have you. But they don't bring it up. Flayed ones a-okay in their mindset via this letter, if this is a true letter from PETA, which is really kind of funny and silly and sad at the same time. So it's just weird because if you're gonna use that concept, that logic, you can't isolate it to just fur. then you would have to also say those of us who play 40k would also have an interest in genocide and flayed human skin and skulls to wear on our belts, which I hope isn't true. So um, I just find it kind of silly in that regard. And in all honesty, you know, putting the silliness to the side, I hope I don't I hope GW doesn't try to talk their way out of it or try to make a response. I hope they just let it have his temper tantrum until it goes away. Now, granted, it was a very civil letter, right? I'm not trying to make this branch of PETA off to be radical, mudslinging here. It was a very civil letter if this is truly a letter from PETA. But at the same time, GW, I think their only response should be to let it just tire itself out and walk away. Don't make a response. Just keep on doing your thing and business as usual. And I'm hoping that's their response, right? I don't think there's any reason to curb or get rid of or anything like that the the imagery they have with fur and skulls and whatnot. It's the 41st millennium fictional universe, a time of war. I don't think anybody's really gonna care. And don't get me wrong, in a game with a player base of any particular size is going to be those people who do care. And you know what? They're very much the minority, and they'll either get over it or move on. You can't appease everybody. But I don't know. I find it really odd and kind of really picking their punches a bit in terms of focusing on the cute fuzzy stuff, right? Not the reptiles, not the birds, not flayed human skin and fictional Xeno skin, but whatever. So, anyways, just wanted to ramble about it a little bit, wanted to rant, vent maybe, and give my 2 cents on the idea. I still am skeptical on it being a legitimate document from PETA to Games Workshop, but the more time that has passed, the more it seems like it actually was an official letter that was sent out, or at least was going to be sent out if it wasn't actually. I don't know. Or will be sent out if it hasn't been sent yet. I don't know. My point is, I really want it to be a hoax. I really would love for like a week from now, heck, even all the way into April with April Fools, to this thing to blow up into a huge April Fools prank joke. But sadly, it seems like it might be a legitimate thing from PETA. And to play devil's advocate here for a brief second, I get the idea on what they're trying to get at by saying, hey, why don't you stop portraying fur like this? But the same notion, it's also a dangerous idea. It's almost along the same lines as forgetting your history, forgetting where human beings came from, because then you'd be doomed to repeat past mistakes. Anyways, I find it kind of funny on the whole. After it's all said and done, looking at it, I find it kind of funny because I would never in a million years have thought an organization like PETA would be contacting a company like Games Workshop and have absolutely no real animal issues at all. It's all pewter, plastic, and resin in a fictional universe, and they acknowledge this, and they still make a letter about their displeasure in the fur depictions. So I find it kind of funny. I can't help it. Maybe that makes me a horrible person, but I find the whole concept that this is truly a real letter from PETA, I find it kind of funny. So, anyways, I hope it's not, but it definitely sounds like it was a real thing. I'm hoping it'll just peter out and go away, and that PETA will just not embarrass themselves any further by pushing the issue and just let it go. But we'll see what happens in the future. Anyways, potential follow-up ramble if this develops into anything further, but hopefully not. Anyways, that's it for this one. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for sticking through this long-winded spiel, and until the next one, take it easy.